Om Shri Sai Ram. Chapter 11. Ma. When Swami took me to Vaikunta for darshan, I did not understand what was happening. Swami came to the mandir, got up from his sofa, held my hand and took me with him. Anu. When was this? Ma. This was about 3 to 4 years ago. It was Guru Purnima day in 2009. When Swami took me with him, I felt as though I was very, very gently floating across the sky, like the view when you look out of an aircraft. It was a similar sight. There were many soft clouds against a white background. There was so much purity there, as though there was nothing. It was completely still, silent, no sound. You can never experience such stillness on earth. Even when it is very quiet, it can never be so still. Such peace. There is no one there. I later wondered where the souls were that had become pure and had gone to heaven. Anu. How did you approach Vaikunta? Was there an entrance of some kind? Ma. No, I did not see an entrance. We were moving through the soft white clouds and soon reached a kind of a place which was on a flat surface. There I saw Narayana Bhagavan smiling, reclining on the Sheshashaya. All the gods were sitting around him. Ma Lakshmi was sitting next to the lotus feet of Narayana Bhagavan on the Sheshashaya. She was looking so beautiful. Sri Krishna, Sri Rama, Lord Ganesha, Hanumanji. They are all one, only different forms. But Swami gave darshan in all his forms. Anu. Was Swami also there? Ma. I did not see Swami there. It was as though he had stepped back and was watching me have darshan. Shirdi Baba was there with all the other gods. All the gods were there. They were moving, but even then there was complete stillness. There was peace beyond compare, Prashanti. I felt that this is the place where I should come and stay. I felt that it would be bliss to live here. It was a very soft, gentle, soothing scene. There was movement, yet it was completely still. All was pure and beautiful. Every movement was graceful and sublime. There could be no place better than this, I thought. I was in heaven. After some time, Swami came. He said, as though addressing all the gods there, "This is Devi Ma," he told them. "Charan chuo Ma." Ma touched their lotus feet. One by one, I touched the lotus feet of all the gods. When I was doing this, I felt very nice. I was not crying. It was a beautiful feeling. Finally, when I had touched the lotus feet of all and was standing there, all the gods raised their hands to bless me. After some time, Swami took my hand and I came back to the mandir with him. Then Swami left. Anu. What did the gods look like? Ma. Narayana Bhagavan was in yellow colored robes. Ma Lakshmi was in red. All the gods were looking beautiful. As we have seen Lord Shiva in pictures, he was in tiger skin clothing. The serpent around his neck was moving. And Sri Rama, so beautiful, sitting there with his bow. And Hanumanji was also there. Ma Lakshmi was so beautiful. And Narayana Bhagavan was even more beautiful. Seeing his divinely beautiful form, I began to adore Narayana Bhagavan even more than before. All are in Swami, but his forms were so beautiful. Lord Shiva seemed to be very serious. Sri Rama had a divine smile on his face. Ma Sita was not there. Swami took me back to the mandir. As soon as he left, I sat down and thought to myself, this is something we see in films or in pictures. Today, I have seen the gods for real. I remembered that the gods were walking, moving, smiling, and had also raised their hands to bless me. I had touched the feet of the gods. They had put their feet forward for me to touch. But when I touched Narayana Bhagavan's feet, he had not moved. Mahalakshmi was sitting with him. I had touched her feet too. It was a wonderful feeling. I could never imagine that I was really so fortunate. I asked myself, is this true? I was finding it difficult to believe. Anu, Ma, you have told me that after Swami made you perform Gaudan, he showed you the two very different forms of the river Vaitarini. You said that he then took you for darshan of Narayana Bhagwan himself in his divine abode, Vaikunta. It must have been a very sacred experience. Ma, Sai Ram. When Swami showed me the river Vaitarini in its pure form, he said that this is how this river will appear to the soul that has become pure after it leaves its body at the time of death. It looked more clear, bright and beautiful than even the most flawless crystal. Then Swami took my hand very gently as though he was going to take me somewhere. I followed my Lord, though I did not know where we were going. After some time, I began to see, far in the horizon, a structure that seemed to be in the shape of a huge ark. It looked very majestic and was shining like gold even from that distance. Swami lifted his hand and pointed towards it as if to show me where we were going. When we reached our destination and as we stood before this great arch, I thought to myself that it looked so grand and beautiful. I noticed that there were two big golden gates, rectangular in shape, at the center of this arch. But they were shut. I did not see any walls around it, but only these gates. Swami put his right foot forward, and as he did so, the gates began to open on their own. As Swami moved in, I followed him. I stopped there and raised my eyes to look inside. Mesmerized, my head bowed, and my hands folded in complete awe and adoration, I had darshan of the Lord of all creation, Lord Narayana, reclining on his Sheshashaya. He looked so grand, so divine, and so beautiful. I don't know how to describe to you, and his smile was so captivating, drawing you to him like a magnet. I could not take my eyes away from his smile. He was wearing beautiful yellow-colored robes, a golden crown, and many beautiful jewels. Ma Lakshmi was sitting by his lotus feet looking so splendid in a bright red sari and exquisite jewelry. Narayana Bhagwan said, "Aao Devi, charan sparsh karo. Come Devi and touch the lotus feet." I went up to the Lord still in a daze and softly touched his divine lotus feet. Then I touched the divine lotus feet of Ma Lakshmi. They smiled and raised their hands to bless me. Then Swami moved ahead and I followed him. We were floating a little above the ground softly and very lightly. There was a light blue and a soft white aura everywhere, a lot like when we look out of an aeroplane when we are on a flight. Very peaceful, sublime, pure, sacred. As I looked ahead, I saw what seemed to me several human figures. I could see them everywhere at some distance from each other. Even from far, they were looking divine. Dressed in pure white clothes, they were floating lightly just as I was. There was so much stillness in them and yet so much grace in their movements. It is difficult to describe. I could see the faces of some of these divine forms. I have never seen faces so still and so radiant. I could see from far that some of these divine figures were not moving at all. Some were sitting on pedestals made of white marble, while others were moving around. They had such a beautiful aura that as I crossed them, my hands folded in reverence. I thought later that these must be the pure souls that have been permitted to enter Vaikunta. They looked noble, grand, and godlike. As I crossed them, some of them welcomed me, saying, "Aao Devi." I was mesmerized. I had darshan of Lord Shiva from some distance. I saw him from far, sitting on a mount made of shining pure white ice. I had darshan of other gods also, but from far. I cannot explain to you the beauty and the divinity, the purity and the sacredness of Vaikuntha. Anu, Ma, I was wondering about the golden gates. Do you remember what they look like? Ma, at that time I felt that the gates were very big, but did not think much about it because my attention was on Swami and I was in a blissful state. Later, when I was back in my mandir, I sat thinking, going through the whole experience many times. I think the gates must have been about 60 or 70 feet in height and about 25 feet in width. Also, I remember that there was something engraved on the gates which I noticed as I walked in. I don't know if the gates were made of gold or some other metal, but they were of a bright gold color. I did not look very carefully at that time, but I thought that something was written on them. Anu, Ma, it would be so wonderful if we knew what was engraved on the gates of Vaikuntha. Ma, I will ask Swami if you want to know. Anu, Ma, you said that you saw many divine figures there. Did you see female figures also? Ma, yes, there were female figures also, but few. I saw more male figures and they were mostly dressed in white robes. The female forms were also wearing white, but I saw that a few were wearing orange also. They all looked of human form but seemed to have achieved divinity. The next day, Dashara 2013. Ma, this morning both Swami and Shirdi Baba gave darshan. I asked Swami, Anu is asking what is written on the gates of Vaikuntha, his smile reaching up to his eyes. He raised his eyebrows and moved his head from side to side as though saying, okay. Then the Lord spoke, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. Swami repeated this sacred mantra many times. Only Om Namo Narayanaya is written in gold letters on the golden gates. The gates are made of pure gold. This is the most important mantra if you want to enter Vaikuntha. When it is recited, it reduces the effect of karma. Inside Vaikuntha, there is none but Narayana. There is nothing but Narayana. You may see many souls, many other things in Vaikuntha, they are nothing but Narayana. It was so sweet. The Lord had come in both his forms. When I asked Swami this question and Swami was answering, I was listening with a lot of concentration. But I was getting distracted because I noticed that Shirdi Baba was also listening to Swami in the same way that I was. As though he is different from Swami. As though he does not know. I was in Ananda seeing this Leela of Bhagwan. Om Sai Ram.